Welcome to Politically Basic. I'm your host, Kyle Campbell. As we always do, we're breaking down the basics of all political issues so that you get to decide. Sometimes political discussions get heated. It happens. It actually happens all the time, remember 2020? And I just happened to have on the show with me today the best of the best at getting in the ring and going 10 rounds with the opposition. Well, he's actually the best at pissing people off. It's none other than the Misfit Patriot, Zack Bonfilio, master political debater, a self-made entrepreneur, conservative commentator, and host of the TMP Uncensored podcast on Rumble. Hailing from Texas, he's a vocal constitutionalist with a no-nonsense approach, challenging political extremism and cancel culture. Frequently banned yet unapologetic, he sparks debate in the best ways possible, focusing on current events, personal accountability, and conservative values. With a background in tilling and a knack for trolling, he's built a following through candid, often controversial takes. All right, Zack, welcome to the show. We got a lot to talk about, brother.
That was a tiling, not tilling. I'm not a
tiling. What's tiling?
Yeah, tilling's two L's.
It is two L's. Well, those are two words I don't read or talk about. Look, right. We're learning already. Welcome to Politically Basic, where we determine the difference between tilling and tiling. That's right. Yes. I've seen your tiling projects online, actually. They're very excellent. I've seen your before and afters.
Yeah, I only post them to piss people off because they keep telling me I'm being paid by the Jews. And it's actually just my customers. And they're Jewish showers, maybe, but okay. That's the latest conspiracy theory.
Well, you piss people off no matter what you do, so I think
it's true. I wake up in the morning and start right there.
And maybe you should look into tilling. I feel like you'd be good at it. I believe in you.
Yeah. Get some crops.
Oh my gosh. Well, I think it's fair that my viewers know that we were supposed to have this interview about maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago. And we had power outage because that's what happens in California. We don't get to have power and electricity and energy all the time. I mean, that's for the wealthy elites who live other places. That's not for Californians. So we didn't have it. And then the world exploded. And I actually thought, well, maybe that's a blessing in disguise because now I get to talk to you post all of this craziness that has happened, including in your own life. I feel like sometimes you should have a show called like Zack versus the Law. You love upsetting mostly people who are anti-Semitic. I'm pretty sure I heard that you beat up an old woman. And I believe that. I completely believe it. I don't care what you say. You definitely fought and beat up an old woman.
No evidence needed.
You know, you're just this incredible human. I don't know how you do it. You get in fights and debates, and you're very effective at essentially arguing and debating with people online. So why don't you share what's been going on in your world over the last few weeks since we were originally supposed to have this interview?
Yeah, I think that we were supposed to have this before the actual trial for me beating up a quote old lady,
which 100% happened. Yes, continue.
Definitely. The old lady who I guess Andrew Tate said was Andrew Tate's lawyer said was my grandmother.
Okay.
Who passed away when I was 9. Dug her up and punched her right in the head. And
okay. People believed it. People believed that you beat up an old lady, so why not?
Well, what really happened was I was attacked. I was attacked by like 4 people in a lobby, and one of them was over 65. And when the cops showed up, the guy was like, "He beat me up," and I was like, "He beat me up." And then the cops were like, "Well, he's old," and I was like, "All right." So I guess.
So it was your fault.
And then we went to trial, and the guy actually showed up. Wow. And the funny thing is, the reason he showed up was because my stalkers reached out to him. This isn't even my I'm not guessing. They posted it. Like, they posted online after the trial the conversations that they were having with him, compelling him to go testify, which they probably shouldn't have done because his rap sheet was like an inch thick, and my lawyer was able to bring that up in court. He is actually currently on trial for assault and battery with a deadly weapon.
Wow.
And he He's got, I think it was like 30 criminal charges, and this is Massachusetts, which is
Yeah.
very similar to California, where they have a revolving door of criminality. And this guy has had quaff after quaff after quaff, which is called continue without a finding. And you look at his rap sheet, and it's so funny how I'm being attacked by these people who have a problem with all of these career criminals and the justice system, but then they just blindly, because they're biased and animus towards me, they just blindly believe that it wasn't an actual criminal. It was a sweet old lady at a, I don't know, like at a buffet, and I kicked her down a flight of stairs because that's how the internet works, right? It's like when you speak out, when you're vocal, when you're unapologetic, what happens is people with way too much time on their hands, they will sit in front of their computer and they will Google you, and then they will put a people finder search on you, and they will look up your criminal record. And under my criminal record, the only thing I have really is like a DWI from, I don't know, 8 or 9 years ago, which I, again, didn't even get convicted for. And this assault and battery on a disabled person over 65.
Wow.
The man is not disabled. He's very healthy looking. But in Massachusetts, if you even assault and battery is if you touch somebody. It's literally the definition of the law. And the judge was actually saying, like, all you have to prove is that Mr. Bonfilio touched that person, like literally touched, like at all. So the sensationalizing of it was just because of my haters and some crazy people that stalked me. And then they made up a story, and Andrew Tate repeated it, and now we're in a legal battle because he's suing me for defamation and I'm suing him for defamation. And it's just crazy. Like the internet is this weird place, and it's not real life. It's the Roman Colosseum. And I just jumped into the arena, and I don't know why. I thought it would be fun.
Well, you seem to be enjoying yourself so thoroughly. And I think that that's what stokes the fires even more for these people, is that you're loving instigating these fights. So you run around, the Coliseum online, and you pick fights, and then you get into fights, and then you just... people think they can take you down, and they can't, and they don't. No. And you're making these videos being like, you're sleeping peacefully with a smile on your face saying, I'm dreaming of whose buttons I get to push when I wake up in the morning. But like, I'm curious how it escalated here so quickly. Like, you're a guy redoing showers and baths, and then all of a sudden you're like public enemy number one on social media. So what was the transition here? What happened?
It's a funny story. I hated like TikTok and social media and all that stuff. But I was doing it like the tilling page. I had
really get in there and work the earth. I love that about you.
No, I had a tiling page where it was like 4,000 or 5,000 people, and I ran that, and there would be arguments over like grout joints and but nothing crazy. But my ex-girlfriend's kid was on TikTok, and she goes, you should make a TikTok tiling page. And I did, and it was called the Misfit Tyler. And then I made one post where I was talking about politics or something, because I'm political. And people started coming at me, and I started doing what I'm doing now full time. Like it's still a hobby because I still have my real job, but I started arguing back and forth, and I was like, okay, I don't want to bring politics on my tile page. So I made a political page called the Misfit Patriot instead of the Misfit Tyler, and it blew up to 120,000 followers in like 2 weeks. And I didn't understand cancel culture and the mob and all of this shit. But the left came at me extremely hard, extremely fast, and I originally, like, for the first like day, it actually was a lot to take. Like I even like was like very like upset about it, because I'm like these people are crazy. I'm like they're calling nonstop. They're leaving negative business reviews. They're threatening to rape my mom. They're posting pictures of my girlfriend's kids. Jeez, like it was wild. It was really crazy. And I thought about, like, what would happen if this was, and it does happen, but I said, what if I was some 15-year-old girl with
Yeah.
like self-esteem issues, right? I'd probably kill myself,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I was like, nah, I'm not letting this stand. And I started fighting back against the cancel culture mob. And I just sort of never stopped.
Yeah.
That's basically what happened. One of my buddies, he has a funny saying, like he goes, he's like, when people you when the mob attacks people on social media, they're used to seeing those people break.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, the only thing that breaks when they come after you is their own hand, and it pisses them off, so they just keep on punching.
Yeah.
And it's like, and that's it, it's like a weird, like you said, like I'm good at it. It's not something that I trained for. It's just a natural talent, apparently, of pissing people off. But it really is behind the idea that I'd rather them be fighting me than
Mm.
fighting somebody else who can't take it.
Well, that's a great mentality to have. You're definitely a warrior in this space, and it seems to me, and I would love for you to clarify this. It seems like it's not just the left that comes after you,
Mm-mm.
but like specific people who have taken an inappropriate interest in you as a person and made it kind of their personal mission to come after you.
Hmm.
Like if you weren't around for them to do that, they would have a huge void in their life.
Yeah.
You mentioned a stalker. You have multiple
Oh,
stalkers,
so
right?
many, so many. Like
Why
that's
do
just
you
one.
think that people take this on so personally, as opposed to, someone who's a conservative commentator or a conservative content creator
Yeah.
like yourself, and it's just sort of generally known that people are going to maybe disagree or like comment or post or say like, oh, that Misfit
Yeah.
Patriot, like he really pisses me off. These people have made it sort of like personal missions to come after you. Why do you think there's that difference there?
Yeah, and that's the thing. I go at people all the time, right? And I think that you should call people out, but I do it in their comment section
Mm.
maybe or on my page. I don't know anything about these people. I have not after I make a comment like let's say I disagree with Dave Smith, okay? I don't know where Dave Smith lives.
Yeah.
I don't know his middle name. I don't know how many kids he has. I don't know anything about his personal life. I only know about whatever he posts on the internet, and I respond to what he posts on the internet on the internet. But these other people, they really do. They take it so personally where they go outside of that and they look into you so that they can do like oppo research and
Mm-hmm.
then use it and weaponize it. I'm an open book though. There's nothing, you can't cancel me. And like that's the thing. You can't offend me. You can't do anything to me. But they damn sure do try. But the funny thing is I think that you should openly criticize anyone you disagree with, including me. I just think that you should criticize what I'm saying,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like I think that you should give me a counter argument. Like if I say, and yes, you're right, it's not the left anymore. Now it's the right. Now it's both sides. I'm being attacked by, we call them the woke right,
Mm-hmm.
and I started calling them the woke right all the way back in 2021
Yeah, I
on
think
my
you
TikTok.
coined that. I think
Yeah,
that
James
originated
James
with
Lindsay.
you.
Yeah, James Lindsay made it popular, but
Yeah.
I clarified to him. I was like, hey man, when did you start saying this? It's like,
It's
I was
nice
like,
of you to check instead
I
of
was
just
like,
taking it.
I just need to do a little, little research here.
Well,
And he,
explain to us. Let's pause there because I want everyone to understand this is a newer concept. We know what woke is and woke culture.
mhm.
What do you mean when you say the woke right? How do those two? That sounds like a counterintuitive,
Yeah, and that's
concept.
the thing is that a lot of people think that woke means left.
Mm-hmm.
And James Lindsay, speaking of James Lindsay, James Lindsay's great. I don't know much about him, but he seems like a very nice person. We talk back and forth. But he makes it a very intellectual argument and goes really deep into the psychology, and it really does need to just be dumbed down and simplified. You know woke when you see it, right? So woke, it's a term that a group of people gave themselves. I think that was in the black community up. I think they were in the 90s, and the reason they call themselves woke is they have woken up,
Mm-hmm.
right? They are now awakened to the oppressor, which is the white man keeping us down, right? That's woke. Woke just means awake. It just means we notice, right? And the funny thing is, they call these right wingers, the Nick Fuentes types, they call themselves noticers,
Okay.
right? And it's a synonym for woke, and they don't even realize that they're
Right.
using. But woke right, which would be somebody who has woken up to the idea that there is an oppressor, an oppressed, and they have this identity politic victim mentality, same behavior the left has, is just a different end goal for the idea that they need to take down the oppressor, right? And for the woke right, it's globalists and Jews, right? For the woke left, it's capitalism and white people. So they're literally two sides of the same coin. It's like these people are saying the same thing, they're doing the same thing, they're acting the same way. You know it when you see it, right? Like if I see a woke left cancel culture mob going and digging into my personal life and using it to smear and slander me, and then I see a woke right cancel culture mob going into my personal life and using it to smear and slander me, it's the same thing, you know? So that's like, I don't think that we need to go down this like etymology and psychology road. It's just that you know it. Like, I mean, I think that when I first started saying woke right, people were like, "You're right." Like they're like, "Oh, I didn't think of it that way," but I didn't need to explain it to them. Like I think they just sort of got it.
Yeah, I mean, this is politically basic. We want to boil things down here, so that's what we need, and it makes perfect sense. And it does seem that this issue of the nation of Israel has really come to the forefront of this battle here. And you speak to that a lot. So maybe we can jump into that part of the discussion about why you think that the Jewish people, the Zionists, the nation of Israel, has now, pulled the short stick culturally in America and have brought on the ire of the world, it seems. I know this has been brewing for a long time. We've watched it sort
Yeah.
of come to the surface finally, and it was happening for a long time. But what do you hear are the main arguments against it right now? Why are people so angry and want to put the blame of the world's issues onto Israel?
I think it was always there, and I think it's been there for thousands of years, and it's a never-ending vicious cycle. They're the perfect scapegoat for all your problems. They're people that have essentially almost gotten like exterminated multiple times throughout history, yet they're still here and they're still thriving, and it creates resentment and jealousy. It's essentially, I didn't even think of this until just now. It's essentially the same reason why they hate me, right? If you try to cancel somebody and they don't get canceled, they just refuse to get canceled. It pisses people off.
Yeah.
But you see, the thing about Israel is they're not criticizing Israel. They're criticizing the Jews. And they're saying that they're not criticizing the Jews while criticizing the Jews. And I'm curious how many people can identify the comparison between Ukraine, right, and Israel, because these same people, right, they obviously don't like Zelensky or they don't like Ukraine or whatever because of the amount of money that we've given to that war. And their argument for Israel is we shouldn't be funding their war. Yet the disparity in their content for Israel versus Ukraine and the hypocrisy of casualties and fake moral outrage, another woke right tenet is virtue signaling and fake moral outrage, right? Where they're constantly talking about the dead Palestinian children. The war in Ukraine is killing about 7,000 people a week. It's killed millions already, right? And if you think that a life is valuable, right, and all life is valuable, then looking at it from a perspective of how much death is there, I know children are, I guess, worth more, but why is a soldier any different? Right? I don't understand that. And there are civilian casualties in the war in Ukraine, a lot of them, and I would say way more than Israel Gaza. So I'm just seeing this hypocrisy or this selective outrage from this group because it's the Jews. That's what it is. It's another one of those things that doesn't need to be explained. You have people like Ian Carroll who come out and they're like, I'm only criticizing Israel. The Jewish people are great. And then at the same time, he starts saying shit like J-pilled, right? He's like, I J-pilled Joe Rogan. What the does the J stand for? Because there isn't one in Israel, right? There's no J in the word Israel. It's not Jisrael, right? So you're talking about Jews. That's a Freudian slip. And, you know, you got the people like Stu Peters and Myron Gaines and Jake Shields that are just like, Jews. And I'm like, at least they're saying it, you know. But then you have the other people, the vast majority of people that are acting exactly like the left, right, with COVID, where they're like, don't believe your lying eyes and ears, right? Like it's got too many similarities, and I think that these people have become the very thing that they fought against, just because. And as to your long-winded, but to answer your question, why, I think I touched on it. It's something that's just sort of there. It's just always going to be there. There's always going to be this disdain and Jew hatred. It's like, why does a pit bull protect children but bite black people? I don't know, right? But they're born with that.
Pit bulls bit black people specifically.
Oh, they don't. That's a generalization, and it's a stereotype against dogs. But it's common, right?
Sure. I get what you're saying. I mean, this is really, if you want to look at it from a biblical perspective, right? That Israel is God's nation; those are God's people, but that the world will always view them through this lens of hatred, of anti-Semitism, of blaming them for the world's problems, and so when you look at and try to explain why this is happening or explain why it's going to happen, I agree with you. I think it will continue to happen. But we being human beings here, especially Americans, we're trying to solve the problem. We're trying to figure out why everyone's trying to justify anti-Semitism or justify a lack of support for the nation of Israel, yet support every other similar issue like supporting Ukraine or supporting other people who are being attacked or being harmed unfairly, or children or babies or hostages, you know, and we're subsecting them out. So it's a really interesting conversation. I don't think that culturally we have, as an American public, understood this collectively. And I think that when I talk to people like you and we can have a very raw and real discussion about this, I appreciate hearing from you on it, because I think that people need to understand this. It's almost like they're just grasping on to sort of those hot topics or those talking points that are so easy to repeat. You know, like how easy is it to grab onto Free Palestine and have no clue what you're saying or the history of that people versus the history of the nation of Israel. And so I do want to ask you about this. I want to ask you about Zionism, and I want you to explain what a Zionist is in the context of this conversation for people who don't know, but they hear it a lot, and they especially hear it a lot from you.
Yeah, it's funny because I don't think I was a Zionist, and I don't know if I'm the Zionist in the eyes of like Theodore Herzl, who started modern Zionism, wasn't even trying to go to Israel, was just trying to find somewhere where Jews weren't going to be killed, because, you know, the talking point from idiots like Jake Shields and Dan Blizzerin is like, oh, they got kicked out of 109 countries for a reason. Yeah, because people, like, this is like saying black people got kicked out of a bunch of establishments during the Jim Crow era, totally their fault. No, it wasn't their fault. It's just that that was the thing to do, to hate Jews. But anyway, to go with modern Zionism, right, with Theodore Herzl's idea that the Jewish people deserve a place that they can live in peace, is just a common sense thing to get on board with, right? That's modern Zionism. Modern Zionism is just the idea that the Jewish people deserve a state, and that state is now Israel, and it just happened to be Israel, right? Again, his original plan had no tie to the native homeland. They just sort of ended up there, which is kind of funny because God said they would. My Zionism, however, is theological. My Zionism is the belief that the Abrahamic covenant is intact, where the Jews are God's chosen people to live in the land of Israel, which is where current nation state of Israel is currently sitting. And that belief, I think, is a controversial one because there's a lot of revisionist, like, see, the people that have sort of like, I would say that the a big reason for the Jew hatred is biblical. Even people that aren't religious, they have it. They have a jealousy of the Jewish people because in the Bible it says, God, they're basically God's chosen people. And a lot of Christians, fake Christians, like Candace Owens Christians, I call them Christ for clicks, Chat GPT Christians, they're like, well, I'm a Christian, right? Why did God choose them and not me? And it's like, you don't understand. There's two covenants, right? There's dual covenants. You get the new one, bro. Like Jesus chose you. You still got chosen. You still
two
got
things
picked.
can be true at the same time.
You got
He didn't
picked,
have to
bro.
leave the Jewish people behind to pick the Gentiles.
You got picked. Jesus picked you. God picked them. We got picked. There's enough earth for everybody. It's so wild.
Yeah.
But yeah, I kind of lost my train of thought. But basically, what I'm like, basically the Zionism, what it means to the critics of Zionism is a Jewish ethno state that is hell bent on expansionism and control over the geopolitical system. It's a fairy tale. It's not what it is. It's if they wanted to just call that globalism, then they would have a good argument, right? If they said globalists instead of Zionists, they would be correct. There is a group of globalists like the Klaus Schwabs and the George Soroses and the Illuminatis, like, and all those creepy people that are, running around dipping their finger into every little thing and trying to move chess pieces along the geopolitical atmosphere. That's a problem. There is something to the conspiracy theories. I always say that a conspiracy theorist should run by the 95-5 rule, where they're 5% right about 95% of the that they talk about. Right? And
a few of these things are coming true. So,
well,
a lot of them aren't.
That's the 5%, right? It's like the thing about a conspiracy theorist and the thing about these, the people that are creating all these blood libels against the Jews is there's some truth to it, right? It's very small, but they hyperfixate on the truth. Like, I don't know, just picking one out of a hat, like the USS Liberty. The USS Liberty is something that they love to talk about, where they're like, Israel attacked an American ship, and then you look into it more, and you're like, yeah, they did. They apologized. It was a friendly fire incident, but that did happen. Right? But then they're like, see, this happened. They did it on purpose. Then you get Alex Jones. They did it on purpose because they're like, no, they didn't. It's like if you dig deep at this surface level, these surface level talking points, they crumble upon actual research. And it's very similar to what the left would do. What the left has done pretty much with all their arguments, which is why I don't understand why there's so many people on the right that are adopting the strategy. The left was like, the COVID vaccine came from a guy eating a bat in a wet market, and you should believe that, even though it was a mile from the coronavirus research lab that was testing the very pandemic that came out. And then they just say it, and they say it over and over again. They say it really loud, and they hope that nobody will, I don't know, like, figure out common sense and critical thinking or use Occam's razor. So it's a really tough it's a tough thing to get past because it seems like it's just never ending and repeating. So instead of what you said earlier about trying to figure out the problem and trying to solve the problem, I kind of stopped doing that. Now I just fight them. I just fight them, right? And that might be how you solve the problem. Maybe it's time to just fight. I mean, stop trying to explain it to them, call them retarded, and point out their hypocrisy and use it for content, and be louder than them, and make them a joke. Maybe that's how you solve it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the right way to do it is to sit there and have a pleasant conversation. I just don't want to, and I'm not going to.
I think you're onto something here, and I'm going to tell you why. There's this psychology of why we culturally believe in something, and it has a lot to do with that mob mentality. I mean, from the very founding of this nation, there's a reason that we're a republic and not a democracy, because democracy breeds that mob rule mentality, majority rule, right? And we're we're so prone to that. COVID was such a brilliant, terrifying example of this. If you know, and nobody wants to be rejecting the science. What a horrible thing. Nobody wants to be on the wrong side of history. Oh, what a horrid person you would be. And we have brewed and built this culture that has really primed people to believe things that aren't true, because we're just buying into that majority rule mentality. And by being loud and consistent and strong, and you are educating because you're backing up what you say with history and with facts and with things that are correct and true, or at least I think you are. It sounds like you are.
I tell people all the time, I'm like, don't believe me unless you can verify what I said is true. I said that to somebody, and they actually were surprised. Like, they were like, yeah, you're an influencer. You just want people to be. I go, literally, don't. Yeah. I was like, don't believe anything I say. Hear what I say. Use it to go and check out whether or not what I'm saying is true. It's like, you should be doing this for everyone, right? I have Donald Trump tattooed on my leg. I don't believe anything he says, right?
Do you really? Do you have a Donald Trump tattoo?
I do.
Oh, what's he doing?
It's the fight.
Yeah,
it's
the fist in there.
It's the Time magazine. So I was getting this arm colored in, and then he got shot. And I was literally sitting in the tattoo chair, and the guy that was doing the tattoo, he's on Ink Masters. He's great, really, really good. I'll send you a picture.
Yeah, I want to see.
I'm not gonna stand up and
don't do it now. We want to see. But were you literally in the tattoo parlor and you were like, that? I want that. Did you start doing it?
No. I didn't want it. Right? He said, he goes, man, that I would tattoo that on somebody for free, with him being like, yeah, fight. And I go, for free? I go, I can always cover it up, right? And I was like, free? Free, let's do it. And I'm thinking it's going to be like this, right?
Yeah,
and I'm like, yeah.
Manageable?
No, I go to show up to do it, and he prints out let me,
because they do the temporary on you, right? And then they trace it.
He prints out a sheet of paper like this. And I was like,
you're like, where's it gonna go? Right here?
Like, I go, what the fuck is that? Right? And he's like, if we want it to be color realism and detailed, it's got to be this big. And I was like, well, fuck it, I'm already here, right? And so it's my whole thigh. It's my upper thigh. And it's from, like, if I was wearing, like really, really, like Daisy Dukes or something, all the way to my knee. And it's a pretty bad tattoo.
So wait, I have to ask you, Zach,
where
is he punching?
Yeah, no, he's punching up. He's on the outside of the thigh. You'll see. You'll see.
Your hip. Let's go with hip.
Yeah, no, he's not punching. He's not punching my. You know what's funny though?
He is a big puncher, so I don't know.
Yeah,
I guess it wouldn't be too off track.
But yeah, like it sort of just happened. It sort of just happened, and then I was like, you know what? I can't have just Donald Trump on my leg. That's just weird. And I don't know if you noticed, right? But Donald Trump's doing this looks a lot like the Statue of Liberty, right?
Oh,
it really does.
It does.
So So what I'm gonna do is on the back side of my thigh,
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna do the Statue of Liberty, and we're gonna have the sky merge together.
Okay.
I got the Liberty Bell on the back of my calf.
Okay.
I got a bald eagle with the Constitution on the front of my
Ooh.
calf. I got 1776 on my kneecap. And what I'm doing to take focus away from the fact that I have a giant Donald Trump
Uh-huh.
tattoo is I'm making the whole leg like a liberty themed leg.
Okay.
And that way, when a girl is down there doing her thing and looks over, it's not like,
It's like
wait a minute.
educational.
Yeah,
They
it's,
could actually
yes,
take you into like children's classrooms. You could put on the Daisy Dukes. Be
yeah,
like, Zach's here to do American History 101. Let's look at the left leg and be mindful of where Lady Liberty's torch is going.
I
And you're
think
good to go.
I think Trump actually saw the tattoo also because I know Siggy Flicker was like I'm going to Mar-a-Lago and seeing Trump, and I sent her the picture of it, and I go, show this to Trump.
Okay. So I want to jump in to something that you and I were chatting about on email, which is just again the culture of today's kind of online atmosphere versus how people are operating in the real world because of how different those two things are.
Mm,
The online rhetoric seeming to be sort of breaking out, as you said, I believe, breaking out into the real world, and how social media is just amplifying particular voices, right? And so we were
yeah.
talking back and forth about this line between free speech and what you call or what is called stochastic terrorism. Maybe you can break
Yeah.
that one down for us.
Yeah, well, so stochastic terrorism is essentially like inspiring people to commit acts of terror, right? I would say that the left dominated that around like 2020, with stuff like, I don't know if you've seen the montage of like all the Democrat leaders that are like, they should go out into the streets, there should be
Mm-hmm.
unrest, this,
Mm-hmm.
that, and the other. And then you see these like cities burning down and the BLM riots, and they're calling it mostly peaceful. And I think that you can't find the line, which is very difficult. And I'm a free speech absolutist. I think you
Mm-hmm.
should be able to say whatever you want, but I also think that we're a nation of laws. And when the culture changes, you need to adjust the laws to make sure that we are living in a civilized society. So where do you draw the line on stochastic terrorism? You got people like Nick Fuentes who literally say, and they say, I'm joking. I'm just joking. But he says, raise your hand and say, I will for Nick Fuentes, right? And then you have one of his followers who threatens to Sarah Fields.
Mm-hmm.
And where do you draw that line? I don't know, but I think that you got a lot of people who are weaponizing their First Amendment and
Mm-hmm.
saying, I have the right to say this, so I'm going to say it. But I think that we need to come together as a society and try to figure out what is stochastic terrorism and when do you apply it? Because like you said, the social media is not real life, right? But social media is a place where you can learn about real life if you understand that social media is not real life. When you try to conflate the two, you get these people like the guy who was chanting "Free Palestine" and
Mm-hmm.
shot two
Mm-hmm.
Israeli ambassadors at a museum in
Yeah.
D.C. You got the guy who's saying "End all Zionists" while setting people on fire in Colorado. These people were inspired.
Mm-hmm.
They were inspired by something, and I think that a lot of it is online rhetoric, which obviously we can't just start policing people's language, but we should be able to figure out, you know, who's responsible for what, and how do you tone it down? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
like that's why Donald Trump got shot.
Yeah.
Donald Trump got shot because the left wanted him to get shot. Like they want the people that do this stuff to me. They posted my address. Well, no, they posted a video actually, a video of my front door, and they turned it into a song so they could get past the community guidelines. But they say go to his house and shoot him, right? And it's like,
They said that in a song.
Oh yeah, it's
while showing
hilarious.
the front of your
Showing
home.
showing my whole address spelled out. Like they're like I don't care. I've doxed myself, but they're like, this is his apartment number. Then they show a picture of my front door, and in
Wow.
the song, it's like, go over there and shoot him, and it's like, if somebody if somebody were to come over here and try to shoot me, obviously this is Texas. I'm not worried about it. I got a gun right here. I got a bunch of them. They're all around the house. I think there's one actually in the video up there
Oh.
somewhere. So
Yeah,
it's not
we
going to work.
Californians don't like
Yeah,
that. Some of us do.
this ain't California,
No.
but no, they could inspire somebody to come to my house and try to
Sure.
shoot me, which
Sure.
is that would be a prime example of stochastic terrorism.
Well, it's really interesting. So interesting what you're bringing up, because then who is responsible? Where do you place the blame, the consequences? Where does the law come in? Because what we're talking about essentially is a mental, emotional manipulation and indoctrination that then informs action. So yeah, free speech is great and we want to protect that. But
Yeah.
when does it cross the line? And that line is so thin, it's hard to determine. And
Yeah.
I would make the case, and this might be controversial, that we're in such a worse place today than we even were with what was happening in 2020, that people have not just removed any guidelines or boundaries around their actions, but that we have gotten better, or people have gotten better at justifying them or placing blame to essentially shirk any responsibility having to do with those actions. And then we have political leadership and the media coming alongside and bolstering those justifications.
Yeah, I mean, I think that obviously, first of all, free speech laws don't work. Like laws don't. They tried this in Weimar Germany against the Nazis, and a lot of people have come to the conclusion that it actually was responsible for Nazi sympathizers being like, well, the Nazis must be doing something right because they're trying to shut them up. And I think that when you make like anti-Semitism laws and stuff like that, you blur the line even further. I think you just prosecute the laws that are already on the books, right? We already have these in place, right? There is incitement, there is terroristic threats. There's things that can be prosecuted, and you know what? Go make your case in court, right? But do something. We already have the laws. We don't need more of them. We already have them. We probably need less, actually. But when somebody like Nick Fuentes says for me, and then somebody threatens, like this is just one example. This happens all the time. It happens 50 times a day. It happens to me 50 times a week. But when you get these crazy people that threaten and harass and stalk and harass and dox, like doxing, it's illegal in all 50 states under cyber stalking and harassment, right? Harassment's illegal in all 50 states. So doxing is a form of harassment. Therefore, doxing is illegal in all 50 states. There are some states that have doxing laws, right? But just treat it seriously. That's all you have to do. It's already there. There's already cyber stalking. There's already harassment. There's already terroristic threats. There's already ways to go about this. I think I think that this is a controversial opinion, but I always have those. I don't think that you should be able to be online and be anonymous. I really don't. I don't think you should be. I think that it's a privilege, and if you want to, now you can have an anonymous name, right? You don't have to put Zack Bonfilio there. You
Right,
can
right.
but I'm saying if you want to make an online account, you should have to at least provide the information to the platform so that if you do like this, somebody can file a formal complaint and they can trace it back to you. I think that that's what's doing this.
Facebook is doing that now, actually. They do make you take a face shot from different angles so that they can have some kind of security behind who is making an account. But I agree. I think that all of the platforms should do that, because then we were talking earlier about
I was just about to say.
how many accounts are fake? How many accounts are bots? How many accounts are getting, stolen? And you know this better than anybody out there about the real landscape of social media.
Yeah, well, so look at it this way, okay? I get attacked by so many people. My inbox is blowing up, right? Like the people like, and you're a Jew and all that stuff. It might be 10 people, right? It's like 1,000 messages, but it might be 10 people. There's these things called sock puppet accounts where one person can create hundreds of accounts and they just click back and forth and they just log out, log in, log out, log in, log out, log in. They talk to themselves in these comment sections. And that's another thing where you talk about how online and social media is sort of bursting out of the bubble and making its way into real life, like with the Jeffrey Epstein situation, the most recent. And we'll get to that in a second. But what you have is you have this hyperinflated false sense of temperature, right? Like where are people really outraged, or is it a Russian bot farm mixed with a bunch of bad actors who are running, I don't know, 20, 30, 40 accounts, right? Like if you have 500 people running 500 accounts, how many accounts is that?
Yeah.
Right? And if they're all saying the same thing, so I think that you should have to either do a face. I think that you should either have to do a face scan. I don't care. Do a jumping jack or something. Make it, and you should only be able to have on your phone. You should only be able to have 3 accounts, right? You should have a personal, a backup, and a business. And if you have any more than that, what the are you doing? Right? Like your phone should just say, no, what are you doing?
Yeah. Go live your life.
Yeah, get out, go outside.
Go for a walk. Well, no, it's so interesting. I think that we noticed, in this last presidential election, I noticed a real shift online, particularly in the comments, because that's how I poll. I do a lot of polling based on comments because you can really take the temperature, and they were trying to infiltrate that and overwhelm and flood comment sections. You can tell there's a language almost to bot comments, right? You can read it, you can see it and recognize it like you're reading another language. But for people who don't spend as much time online as we do and wouldn't recognize that, you could look at a post, somebody just putting out there, like, who is that comedian, Dane, who on TikTok, Dane Cook, sorry, thank you, Dane Cook, and he said, I don't care what side of the aisle you're on, just give me a blue heart if you're for Harris and a red heart if you're for Trump. I just want to see where people are at. It got flooded with red hearts. And I think what happened was that was a real temperature taking of how people were feeling. But the bots couldn't get in there fast
because
enough.
They couldn't program it fast enough. So the bot, because a bot has and that's the thing. You have to also understand that there's a difference between real people running sock accounts and bots. And the majority is actually not bots. It's more sock than bot. Right? Like the bots are on Instagram, and the bots are I got a message. I was just looking for it. I can't find it, but I got a message, and it was something kind of personal, but also vague. It was also vague, right? It wasn't personal like it was directed at me. It was one of those things where it could apply to many people, and so they sent it to me, but then they sent it to me twice under 2 different accounts. And it was like a paragraph.
Wow.
Where it was like, hey, you MAGA patriot, I know you think you're this and that and da da da. And then literally the next message was verbatim, word for word, the same message. And I'm like, that's a bot, right? Obviously that's a bot. But when somebody sends me a picture of my dead mom and they're like, like she's burning in hell, like that's a person. Like that's not a bot. That's a human being who went out of their way to say something horrible, right? So the more personal it is, the less likely it's a bot.
Right.
But it could be a disruptor, like because they have these people that are paid, just like so if you look at there are paid protesters, right? There are people who are paid to go to protest. Everybody knows.
Yeah, we just did a whole episode about that. It's fascinating with the Crowds on Demand guy. Amazing.
Yeah, well, they're also paid to sit in their basement and type, right? So, in fact, there's a lot more people who are paid to type online than there is to go outside and hold a sign, because it's more effective online. And as far as, like I said, I think we should dip into this whole Jeffrey Epstein thing, because that's also one of the things. It's sort of encompassing what we've been talking about in so many different ways. You got woke right, woke left. You got cancel culture, sock puppet, bot, and this, and you have the idea that is online real life or is it not? And I think that the answer is absolutely not. I just went out with my buddy to the bar on Thursday, I think it was. Yeah, Thursday. And I was meeting like 4 or 5 new people, and I was on my phone, and I said something like, I go, hey, can I ask you guys something? Do you give a about Jeffrey Epstein? And they were like, oh, dude, that story's crazy. And I go, no. I go, but do you care? And they're like, not really. Like, ask people in real life. They don't care. Right? Like, but if you look at X, you would think that this is the number one issue on everybody's mind. It's more important than taxes. It's more important than the border. It's more important than life. Finding out if a guy who was killed 6 years ago and was arrested 17 years ago had associates that had sex with kids. Spoiler alert, he did. Right? We don't need to know in order to fix this country. But people will have you believe on the internet that that is the most important thing. It's more important than everything else, and it's definitely not. And that's why I'm getting attacked.
Yeah. Well, I think that the Epstein files and client list issue goes beyond that. And I believe that what you're saying is right. We are getting a very skewed view of public opinion and issues just solely relying on social media, which a lot of people do. But I also think it's indicative of the American public's trust in the administration, which was so built up, and so they're disappointed. And feeling like there once again not going to be consequences for people who hurt others, especially minors, which we're so sensitive to. Hopefully, we're still sensitive to this in this country. So I do think it's gone. I think people care in terms of, we want a conclusion, we want consequences, we want justice. We want to believe that if Pam Bondi says we're going to get information, that we're going to get something, because I think we got absolutely nothing. But in terms of, are we done talking about Jeffrey Epstein and we want to move on with our lives? Yes. Well, I hope that we can.
No, I think so. I don't want to minimize. I definitely don't want to minimize the importance and the severity of the crimes and finding out what happened.
I'm not saying that's what you're saying. I think you're making a very excellent point, though. That what we think is the hottest, biggest issue. I mean, if you thought that, you would think that the astronomer CEO cheating on his Cabot Boston wife, or with the Cabot lady, is like the biggest thing in the world right now. It's
that's
like
so
rocked
important,
the planet. So
that's a good point. It's whatever's trending is the most important thing. No, but like I said, I don't want to take away from the importance of finding out what happened. What I'm trying to do is be pragmatic, and I also recognize psyops really well, right? Almost better than the conspiracy theorists who always talk about psyops, right? When Gavin Newsom starts tweeting out, release the Epstein files, you might want to take a step back and ask why, right? Like when the Democrats are jumping on board with this, and this is what Donald Trump was calling a hoax. He wasn't calling the Jeffrey Epstein files a hoax. He was saying, hey guys, you're falling for it. They're weaponizing this because the Democrats know that there is nothing. It's been shredded, right? Did it really happen? Yes. Like, are we going to know about it? No. Pam Bondi should be fired, though. You're right about that, because she overpromised, underdelivered. She came out and she lied to the American people, and now Donald Trump is cleaning up her mess.
Yeah, he's definitely covering for her. I don't know if it's firing worthy, but it has caused a real, I think,
it's all her fault.
Crack in the administration as far as if they can trust one another, let alone if the people can trust what's coming out of there. So it's a gigantic disappointment, I would say, at the least.
He's gotten rid of, like, Alina Habba was like fawning over Andrew Tate, and he shipped her off to frickin' somewhere.
Can we talk about the Tates? I know I only have you for a couple more minutes.
You have me as long as you want.
What the heck is going on with
Andrew
you
Tate
and the Tates.
Andrew Tate is suing me for saying that he is a sex trafficking pedophile when he is on camera beating up a 15-year-old girl that he pimped out
Yeah.
and calls himself a sex trafficker. So I don't understand how that's defamation. But I can break some new info.
Okay, let's have it. So we'll
Right.
go back for 2 seconds and explain to everybody who the Tate brothers are.
Okay, so here's the deal. I used to be a fan. I used to be not a fan. I used to be like, oh, Andrew Tate's cool, right? I used to like. I understand the appeal. He's a according to him a billionaire. I don't know if he's an actual billionaire, but he's rich. He's definitely rich. He's a rich guy in Romania. He used to be a kickboxer. He's like a reality. He was on Big Brother reality TV. He's essentially just like a playboy, and he gets hot women. He's very similar to like a Dan Blazarian type, and he made a lot of videos that were, I guess, kind of like the stuff that I do, right? Stuff that triggered the left, and then he got charged with sex trafficking, rape of a minor. I think it was money laundering. I think that there's like a bunch of crimes listed in this charge in Romania, and he's also charged in the UK. He's got 49 listed victims. I think 50 actually.
Wow.
50 listed victims in 3 different countries. And when I found out about that, right, because he basically tried to pull the move, like he tried to compare himself to Trump, Trump was definitely persecuted, where they tried to weaponize the justice system against Donald Trump. They had that chick E. Jean Carroll, who couldn't even remember what year Donald Trump and said it wasn't rape on Anderson Cooper. She's a psychopath. One lady, and Stormy Daniels, who again said it didn't happen, then said it did happen when she was writing a book. That was very different than what's going on with Andrew Tate. I looked into the Andrew Tate thing after I heard this, and as somebody who made videos about him being like supportive, and I was like Andrew Tate's probably being, like falsely accused, but then I looked into it and I was like, oh, he's actually not being falsely accused. Like, he's 100%, he's on camera doing the things that he's being accused of and talking about the things that he's being accused of. So I called him out, just like I called out everybody else. And I said, this guy is trying to infiltrate MAGA. He's the biggest mistake MAGA can make, because he's basically Jeffrey Epstein 2.0. He's Timu Epstein, where he's this guy that's trying to get in with the Trump administration, influential figures. Don Jr. is retweeting him. Elon Musk is retweeting him. And I'm like, you guys do not understand. This is a freaking time bomb that will explode on us. And imagine if it works. Imagine if Andrew Tate gets Donald Trump to interfere in his case. The left will hang us with this guy. And that's all I was saying. I was warning the party against him, and it got millions and millions and millions of views. So he sued me. He sued me for, it's called a slap suit. Are you familiar?
No, what's that?
A slap suit is when you sue somebody just to shut them up, right? He probably assumes that I have no money and he can try to tie me up in court, and it'll hurt me, and I'll stop talking, and this, that, and the other. I don't think he realizes that I know Jews. Like, the Jews love me.
Not your first rodeo with
There's
the
a lot of
lawsuits.
There's a lot of Jewish lawyers.
Yeah, they're good. They're good.
There's a lot of Jewish lawyers, and I have one of the biggest Jewish lawyers representing me in
Well, good.
So this is the news that I was going to say.
Yeah.
I'll break this here.
Okay.
I believe they have just finished writing my countersuit, and we will be filing it against him. And I think that right now he's trying to serve me papers. So we'll see how that goes, but I am not worried even a little bit about this case, because unlike him, right? He actually said that I had beat up an old lady. Right? He literally went on a podcast with over a
Clearly.
million. He went he went on a podcast with over a million subscribers and said
Wow.
I beat up an old lady. His lawyer said I beat up my grandmother. He reposted that I have been arrested multiple times for sexual assault. He has defamed me.
Right.
The only thing I've said about him is that he said about himself.
Sure.
So it's not defamation. I like my chances, is all I'm saying.
Okay. Well, I do too, and your Jewish lawyer sounds amazing. I might want to get that contact after this interview.
You probably know who he is.
Okay.
You probably know who he is.
You know, I run an organization in my local community to support any group or agency that is combating sex trafficking, particularly child sex trafficking. It
Sure.
is my sensitive spot, my passion to fight this issue, and I just think anyone who has to pay for sex
No,
is a piece of crap. But
It's
I don't
funny.
know. I don't know anything about that. But
If we got like 2 minutes, I just want to say
Yeah.
something that I haven't been able to say yet because when you're getting attacked, you go into defensive mode, and my defensive mode is offensive mode, right? Where I just go, yeah, I said it, right? But I think that what's getting lost in this, in me saying I'm over the Epstein, is that it kind of does seem like I don't care, but I do, right? I care so much, I'm being sued. Right, I care so much about sex trafficking. I had a come to Jesus. I went and saw the movie Sound of Freedom a few years ago, and I felt God. I went back to church. Right, I have talked nonstop about sex trafficking. So when I say move on from the Epstein files, it's not because I don't care. It's because I see that it's being weaponized, and I see that it's going to be used against us. And two things can be true at the same time. You can care deeply about sex trafficking and acknowledge that Jeffrey Epstein was a horrible person who did the things that everybody's saying he's doing, but we're not going to find out about it, and we should move on, because I think that Donald Trump has probably saved 100 times the amount of sex trafficking victims than Jeffrey Epstein had just by closing down the border.
yeah, no, that's such a brilliant point right there. I mean, we needed someone to tell us how to view this, and I think that you've done us a great service in contextualizing it through that perspective, because you're absolutely right. I mean, what he has done and what his administration has done to keep children safe and to try to find all these children who are just out in the country.
They found
Literally,
like
they're
10,000.
wandering around. I mean, they're not wandering. They are being trafficked. They're
in
where
your
they're not
state.
supposed to be. Yeah, I mean, I could talk to you all day about that issue, and sadly, I'm
You know
gonna.
what the fast fashion industry is?
Yeah,
The fast fashion industry
child
is
labor.
child labor. I mean, there were kids on that marijuana farm that just
Yes,
got raided.
that was right in my neighborhood.
And you're absolutely right. Okay, you don't want you don't want to lose trust with the administration, and you want them to take something seriously. But they can't get blood. You can't get blood out of a stone. It's like, if it doesn't exist, then what are we going to do? Right? It's like Donald Trump was like, okay, release the grand jury testimony because it's literally all we have left that we haven't released. If you want to know who's in the Jeffrey Epstein files, start pressuring the judge in New York to unseal the documents that are in the court cases. That's all that you can do.
Yep.
So I just don't want people to. I don't want people to get trapped into the psyop of blaming Donald Trump for something that he has nothing to do with.
Which will do so much more damage than
Correct.
is
And then-
necessary. Yeah.
Yeah, and then if you handicap his administration,
Right.
you're going to raise sex trafficking because
Well,
the
that's
Democrats
it.
will win and open the
Then-
border again.
Then we lose everything good that they are doing. So, well, Zach, I could talk to you for hours and hours. I hope that you'll come back again and we can
Absolutely.
continue the conversation. But this was fascinating and so interesting, and we learned so much about what's going on, not just in your world and your life, but on these social media platforms too. So people can find you on socials. I encourage everyone to follow you, beacons.ai/the Misfit Patriot for all your socials. Please follow this guy. He seems tough, but he's a big softy and he cares about people and what happens. And we appreciate you, brother. Please come back and keep us updated on everything that's going on.
Will do. Thanks, Kylie.
Thank
Kyle.
you. You got it.
I
Keep
thought
up
your name
that.
was Kylie.
Well, that's okay. It's just Kyle, like a boy's name. And actually, consequently, online, all the bots that come and message me are women who just put the name through some kind of filter and think that I'm a man. So it's all like, come see my profile, 18 plus. I'm like, I'm a girl. So, no thank you. Still like guys. Okay, Zach, thank you so much. And thank you all for joining us on this episode of Politically Basic, where we break down the basics of all political issues and let you decide. Be sure to follow us at politicallybasic.com and at politicallybasic on all socials so you don't miss a single episode. And we'll see you next time.